Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk to you about something a little different, right? There's something called tutorial hell, where when you're learning game development or really any kind of coding, you're kind of stuck just on these tutorials doing the basic things, create a copycat game of this or a copycat game of that. You're not really creating any original content, you're just kind of going with, the next tutorial, let's go to the next tutorial, let's go to the next tutorial. First, I want to start off with, I think tutorial hell is kind of a misnomer, because it implies that you're not able to get out of it. But really, at any point that you're in this groove of doing hundreds of tutorials, there's always a way out. And the way out, put simply, is just to create your own game. I think there are effective ways to use tutorials that people just don't really consider. So yeah, of course, when you're starting out and you don't know what you're doing, you never opened up Unity, you've never done coding, you've never done anything, I would definitely recommend doing a couple tutorials. Do 2 or 3, do 4, even do, I feel like when I was doing it, I was doing maybe 10 tutorials. And so, but what I kept seeing as I was like engaging more with the community, engaging more with Facebook, engaging more with YouTube, is people talking about tutorial hell. I'm neurotic, right? So I was thinking to myself, like, I'm never going to get out of this tutorial phase. What do I do? What do I do? And really, there's no answer other than just create your own stuff, right? So what I would say is, in order to stay out of tutorial hell, after you do a tutorial or 2 or 3, and you have a kind of a grasp of the Unity engine, right, a little bit, and the C# structure, or if you're using Unreal, the blueprints or C++, what I would recommend is that you go in there and you make a simple game. And it can be similar to the tutorial, right? Not necessarily a copycat of like using their tutorial and your assets, or, if you want to do that way, that's fine, and that's another way to learn. That's just doing the tutorial again. What I would recommend is making a game that's very similar to theirs and kind of change it up a little bit. See if you can make your own feature, right? So let's say they didn't have a score in the tutorial that you followed. Maybe try to add the score, right? So just little incremental successes in game development is really all you need to start succeeding. And so as you start doing, like, let's say you do a tutorial, create a new feature for the tutorial. Do a tutorial, create a new feature for the tutorial. Then you start incrementally, like, do a tutorial and then create a little bit of a different game, right? So change a feature and add a feature. And as you do that, eventually, when you start doing these tutorials, you'll still be doing the same tutorials that you would have done, right? In tutorial hell. But the difference is you'll have learned so much more than what you could have learned if you just followed the tutorials. A lot of those tutorials are teaching the same thing over and over and over again. Unless you're doing a more advanced tutorial, most of them are teaching just the beginner stuff. So really what I would recommend is, if you're doing tutorials, just do it for the beginning. Just do it to get your groove. And then every once in a while, if something's changed or you got a new Unity version, or you just want to see how everything's going or how people are doing stuff now, that's when I would recommend watching another tutorial. So, I think tutorial hell is kind of like a pessimist view of learning anything. And it applies for Unity, and I've heard it for any kind of programming. Really anything that people make tutorials for on YouTube, and you're just mimicking that, that's when they say you're trapped in tutorial hell. The good thing is, there's a way out, very easily. Literally just create your own stuff. Let's say you've been doing tutorials, you've been changing the features, you've been doing tutorials, you've been changing the features, and now all of a sudden you're ready to make your own game. You've already found the assets, you've done the tutorial rigmarole where you understand how to make arrays, and you understand how to make a character movement script, and you understand how to make inventories and all that basic stuff. And then as you make it, it's kind of not running as smoothly as you'd like. So this is the next stage of using tutorials. And I would definitely call it the opposite of tutorial hell, right? This is kind of taking advantage of tutorials, and with the understanding that you already have, you can pull from those tutorials just the pieces that you need, or take multiple tutorials and mix them together and kind of find your own smooth system to manage whatever you need to manage. So that's the benefit. That's the benefit of going ahead and moving to the next stage, right? And maybe eventually there's a point where you don't really want to use tutorials, but I don't see that that's possible, because there's always someone who knows more or knows something different, who understands something a little different. And if you go at it all alone, that's a good indie way to go, but with all these resources available to you, there's really no excuse to not be able to do something, right? Even if there's not a tutorial, there's plenty of other resources. Stack Overflow, there's the Unity forums. There should never be a place where you stop and say, oh, I give up. I think there's a real benefit in using tutorials to create your games. And I also think there's a huge stigma against people saying, like, don't use tutorials. What do you think? You're like a noob, you're a noob. I think tutorials are fine as long as you put some of you in there before you start using the tutorials. Or if you're just starting out, put some of you in there after every iteration. To close, if this video provides you any value, make sure to like, subscribe, comment below if you have any other opinions about tutorials or tutorial hell, or if you have an experience similar to mine, you know? And don't forget, I'm doing a monthly game jam every month this year. This genre this month is third-person shooter, so click the link in the description below, sign up. I would love to have you guys participate. I want to see what you guys can do, and if you're lucky, you could win $50, so go ahead and click that link. I'm excited to see what you guys bring. Thanks for watching, and bye.